Hey guys, it's Robyn, your independent Scentsy consultant. Welcome back and welcome if you're new. Today we have October's Wax War. We have the Wax War of the Pumpkins. So I went through our current catalog. I excluded any limited time offers. I excluded any like seasonal or things from last year. I excluded Bring Back My Bar. Just things in this catalog that is currently available so that you can get your hands on all of these bars right now. And even if you're watching this in a couple months, you can still get these bars. Pumpkin scents. So I went through and I came up with 8 pumpkin scents. I actually came up with 9 pumpkin scents, but one of them I did not include in this wax war, and I'll explain that in a minute. But we went ahead with 8 pumpkin waxes for this wax war, so there's quite a few. So first I'll just kind of go through and give my cold sniff reviews of these bars and let you know what Scentsy says the description is, and then we'll kind of go through the warming process and how they did. So the first one I have here is Cider Mill. This one is, I did it in my daughter's room, and the Scentsy description is brings together fresh apples, crushed pumpkin, and simmering spices for a cozy autumn treat. So apples, pumpkin, and spice. Now, I did the apple wax war in September last month, and there were quite a few bars that were both apple and pumpkin in the same wax, so I just kind of went by whatever it smelled more like to my nose and my family's nose. This one to me is quite appley. It does have a good dose of pumpkin to it. It is nice, a gentle spice. I really like this one a lot on cold. It's just a nice, like, classic, all-purpose, traditional fall scent. You really cannot go wrong with Cider Mill. Next, we have Autumn Sunset. And Scentsy says this one is apples, pumpkins, fall leaves, and spices. A top 10 fragrance. So this one is a very, like, classic 80s, 90s, like, fall scent. Very traditional, like, potpourri. Pumpkin, warm. I get some like ginger, some clove. It's like very spicy and warm and inviting. Very homey. Yes, this one's good. I do think you have to like spice, and I think you have to like clove, but it is a very warm, pumpkin-y spice scent. And not current pumpkin spice. This is a very vintage type pumpkin spice scent. Next we have Pumpkin Roll. This is a bakery pumpkin scent. This one is creamy pumpkin pie filling surrounded with yellow cake, pecans, butter, and spice. Yes, this one is like pumpkin cake. Like, and I don't even know that there's a lot of frosting here. It's like a nutty pumpkin cake or a nutty pumpkin loaf that's quite sweet. Very yummy. It's kind of like a bready, doughy, pumpkin-y, nutty goodness. That's a good one. Pumpkin chai, I did not have a bar of, but I used 2 of these sample cups to make up like 2 cubes of regular wax. And this one, Scentsy says, fill your cup with white pumpkin, a swirl of cinnamon, and a dash of chai. And this one is mostly chai spice to my nose with a bit of pumpkin for sure. Yeah, it's like pumpkin and like chai spices. Then we have Scary Good. This one is new to the catalog this season, but it's not new to Scentsy. It was a scent of the month last year, and it came back in the catalog this year. So Scary Good is pumpkin puree sprinkled with fresh cinnamon, encounters toasted butterscotch and creamy vanilla in a spooky, yummy treat. This one's just good. It's got a lot of very sweet butterscotch, but that is tempered by a smoky, toasty, like spiciness and a lot of pumpkin. Like this is a very pumpkin-y, toasty, butterscotchy, spicy scent. Very bakery, but a lot of complexity there. Next, we have Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl. This is another bakery category scent. It is fresh pumpkin garnished with cinnamon stick and a dollop of whipped icing. So, yes, this one is like cream cheese frosting to my nose. Just a little bit of spice, but not very much. But like pumpkin and cream cheese frosting and just a teeny hint of spice. And it, to me, if you mix pumpkin roll, which is that cake, like doughy, nutty loaf, with the frosting of this one, that is a match made in heaven, just FYI. I highly recommend that. So that is that one. So Harvest Blessings is radiant apple, spiced pumpkin, and smooth oak embody everything you love about autumn. And again, very traditional, more of a woodsy traditional though, whereas the other traditional ones are more fruity or spicy. This one's a woodsy spin on it. So this one is pumpkin, it is spice, but it's like an oaky, woodsy pumpkin spice. Very like warm and inviting still, but a little bit more almost, I wouldn't say masculine quite, but just that deep oakiness kind of makes it smell more like a library type smell or something like that. Very nice one though. And then we have farm stand pumpkin. And again, I didn't have a bar of this, so I used 2 of my testers to make up 2 cubes. And this one is indulgent notes of fresh apple, cinnamon stick, pumpkin, and caramel. And this one is like a nicely balanced scent. I think this is a crowd pleaser. I think most people love this one. It is like general pumpkin. I don't get much apple to this. It's not a juicy type scent at all. I do get quite a hit of caramel and some spice, but to my nose, it's not necessarily cinnamon stick. I'm getting more chai spice. So it's kind of the same spice notes as pumpkin chai to my nose, but it's a very gentle, soft spice. It's mostly like a pumpkin caramel scent. It's quite nice. And the one that is a pumpkin scent that I did not include in this wax war is Fairy Tale Pumpkin. And the reason is because to my nose, I warmed it in my open layout recently, and I get no pumpkin from it. Like, to my nose, it just isn't a pumpkin scent, even though pumpkin is in the name. It is a blueberry bakery scent to my nose. Like candy, blueberry bakery, in that realm, but I get no pumpkin from it whatsoever. So I did not include it in the pumpkin wax war because these are very like pumpkin-y scents. So it's not included. It does have pumpkin in the name. It did perform quite well. I did it in my open layout here. I did the full bar, and it was like a medium to medium plus, and it lasted 2 full days. So it did well. It was enjoyable, blueberry bakery, but it wasn't pumpkin. So there's that one. And before we hop into the warm reviews, I'm just gonna let you know kind of the methodology I use for Wax Wars. If you've been watching for a while, you know the methodology. With Wax Wars, I do all of these scents in 3 rooms of my house that are all about the same size or close. So the bedrooms. So we get the office, my daughter's room, and our bedroom are the 3 testing zones. All of the Wax Wars took place in a warmer that was running 24 hours a day. This time there is one change. I usually use all element warmers. I used the Disney Castle 20-watt bulb warmer in my daughter's room because that's what she has in her room now. So that was what we used for the Wax Wars that took place in her room. It seems to perform about the same as the element warmers in my experience so far, so it shouldn't be a factor in the Wax War. So we will hop in now to the test times. So I checked in at 2 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, 24, 48, 72, etc. Nothing went terribly long in this Wax War, and we'll get to that. So the first check-in was 2 hours. Cider mill at 2 hours is a medium, 5 out of 10 strength. Smells apple spicy, cidery, a little bit of pumpkin, very nice, very bright. So doing very well, but more apple than pumpkin. 2 hours with Autumn Sunset. It is strong, it's throwing well, 7 or 8 out of 10 in strength. It's a spicy potpourri type scent, pumpkin and apple, not a bright apple. The apple in this on warm is a dried apple. Dry scent overall, kind of a red hot cinnamon. Very nice. 2 hours of pumpkin roll. It is a 4 out of 10 in strength. It's a light medium. It is Cozy Bakery, light pumpkin spice cake. Very yummy, I put down. So that one is on the lighter side, but very delicious. Pumpkin chai at 2 hours is a creamy sweet chai spice and light pumpkin. I put very smooth and sweet. It is pleasant. This one is better than I remember it being. This one is aged though. Like the testers I have are at least a year old. Well, one is new, but one is like from last year. And so it was better than I remembered. It was 4 or 5 out of 10 in strength. And it was doing reasonably well. Not a powerhouse, but doing quite nicely and very pleasant to the nose. 2 hours with Scary Good. It's a spicy cinnamon most prominent, and then the butterscotchy pumpkin. Very Halloweeny, and medium plus in strength. I put 7 or 8 out of 10, so pretty strong and doing very well. Quite spicy, especially initially there. Then 2 hours with Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl. It's a medium strength, maybe 5 or 6 out of 10. I put Yum, Cream Cheese Frosting Bakery. And I don't typically like cream cheese frosting scents, nor do I like cream cheese frosting in general, but this is delicious. I put the pumpkin as barely noticeable. This is like a rich, gooey brown sugar frosting, like the inside of a cinnamon bun that has lots of frosting that's kind of melted down in between like the layers. And you've got that kind of brown sugar, cinnamon, and like frosting kind of mixed in there. That's this. It's delicious. Farm Stand Pumpkin at 2 hours. I put 3 out of 10. It's light. It's traditional pumpkin and vaguely sweet. It must be the caramel. And I put down that it's low spice, but not quite no spice. There's a tiny hint of spice here, but I think if you're not a spice lover, I think you could still enjoy this. But if you're very spice averse, I would skip it. But again, very light. And Not terribly unique. Very like traditional pumpkin and sweet. Like there's nothing unique here, but it is very pleasant, and I think it's a crowd pleaser for a reason. And last but not least, at 2 hours with Harvest Blessings, it was a medium plus, 7 out of 10 in strength. I put earthy and spicy and woodsy pumpkin. The oak really comes through here. Smooth and traditional, very nice all around scent, good strength. So there is Harvest Blessings. Next check-in is at 6 hours, and at 6 hours, Cider Mill is a light in strength. And I noted that's odd because this one usually does a good solid medium for me for quite some time. But at 6 hours, this is a light strength. I put it's lighter than it usually does for me, no scent change. So it's still kind of that apple spicy type cider scent. 3 out of 10 in strength. Autumn Sunset at 6 hours is a 7 out of 10 in strength, medium plus. No change to the scent, warm traditional spice, smells like 90s fall. So very like 90s fall traditional cozy warm scent. So that one's doing great. Pumpkin Roll at 6 hours is light, it's a 3 out of 10. It is cake and frosting, light spice, very yummy. I put similar frosting note to apple butter frosting, except this isn't appley. Very pleasant, and this one is also performing much lighter than it normally does for me, so I'm not sure what that was about. But this one again also is usually closer to a medium for me in performance. I've warmed this one a lot, but in this particular test in our bedroom, it did a 3 out of 10, so it was much lighter than typical. And yeah, I would say this one has a similarity to apple butter frosting. It is not going to replace apple butter frosting, but there's a similarity in the bakery type note here to apple butter frosting. So if you miss apple butter frosting and you're okay with pumpkin, I would try this one because it's a similar vibe. Pumpkin Chai at 6 hours is a light medium, it's creamy and smooth, and I put that it's not very strong, it's like a 4 out of 10, but it's quite pleasant and there's been no scent change since 2 hours. So that one is kind of holding its own, doing all right. Scary Good at 6 hours, there's been no change, same strength, same scent, it's plugging along great. Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl at 6 hours, again, same scent, same strength, no change since the last check-in. Farm Stand Pumpkin at 6 hours, I put 1 out of 10 in strength. Where is it? I can smell a vaguely sweet, maybe pumpkin scent in the room. I sniffed directly over the warmer dish, like this far from my nose, and got maybe a 2 out of 10 in strength. And I said this is odd because I remember this doing much better last year. So I'm not sure if it's my testers or what, but this one did not perform for me at all in this test. I don't know why, but there it was. Harvest Blessings at 6 hours is a 5 or 6 out of 10, medium strength, very solid, doing nicely, no scent change. It's just plugging along great. "12-hour check-in. Cider Mill is light, so it was a 3 out of 10 at 6 hours. I would say it's about that, maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10 now at 12. It's still the same scent, no change to the scent, but it's very, very light. And again, that is unusual for me with this bar. It usually does quite well in my home. Autumn Sunset at 12 hours, still doing fantastic, no change to scent or strength. It's still holding its own very nicely. Pumpkin Roll at 12 hours, this one seems to have done a bit of a rebound. So this one had started out very light and it didn't ever get strong, but it went from light to lighter and then back to light again. So it did like a little bit of a bounce back somewhere there. It must have been to do with airflow or weather or climate or something, but it did rebound just a little bit and no change to the scent. This one is a very nice, like gentle, cakey, very light spice scent. Pumpkin Chai, no change at 12 hours, same scent, same strength, still light, but doing its thing. 12 hours with Scary Good. It is still holding its own, at least a medium strength still, more spice now than anything. So some of that initial sweet butterscotch has died down and now it's more of just a spice scent. Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl, no change, still a 5 out of 10 in strength, doing just fine. Farm Stand Pumpkin at 12 hours, I put, there's like a basmati rice scent in the room. It smells like rice in here and it's this. And it's just like a very light rice scent in the room. And I seem to remember this one doing that to me in previous years too. Like last year, I feel like I got basmati rice from this as well. And I mean, I kind of get that in the jar, but not extremely, but it's a very nice spiced rice. Like it's a nice, like very nice, like gentle spiced basmati rice from like a restaurant. Very delicious, a little odd to like have in home fragrance, but a very pleasant scent. So if you're looking for like basmati rice, Farm Stand Pumpkin at the 12-hour mark was doing it. Pumpkin chai, I wasn't able to check at 12 hours. My daughter was asleep in her room. It was light about the 9-hour mark. When I put her to bed, it was like light. And this one really smells basmati rice-ish to me. So like I said, the spice notes in these two are fairly similar, farm stand pumpkin and pumpkin chai. And to my nose, it's like chai spice or basmati rice. Harvest Blessings at 12 hours is solid, hanging in steady, doing just fine. 24-hour check-in, so we are now 1 full day into this warm. Cider mill is gone. It was gone before 24 hours, probably more like the 17-hour mark. It was finished, so it did not last 24 hours. It checked out somewhere between 12 and 24, and it was gone. And this one I do recall being not a terribly long-lasting scent. Like, it is like a 1 day, like 15 to 17-hour type scent. But I do remember it performing stronger for me before. So I don't know if that's just because I usually do it in my open layout with a full bar, and maybe 2 cubes wasn't enough for this one. I'm not sure, but it usually does better for me, but the longevity is about what I expect for this bar. Autumn Sunset at 24 hours is a 5 out of 10, medium strength, warm pumpkin and gentle spice. Very nice, very cozy. Pumpkin Roll, I put at 24 hours. You can't detect it in the room at all anymore. It is done, finished. So we have quite a few horses dropping out of the race at this point. Pumpkin Chai is a 1 out of 10 in strength. It's a light chai scent, maybe ginger is what I'm smelling. Almost undetectable. This is basically done, and I did switch it out like an hour or 2 later. Scary Good has gone back to butterscotchy, which is interesting because it went from butterscotchy blended with everything else to more spice, and now we're back to butterscotch, which is interesting. So at 24 hours, we are butterscotchy. It's a light strength, 2 out of 10. Sweet and not as spicy now, which I found was interesting. Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl at 24 hours is donezo, finished, out of the race. Farm Stand Pumpkin, done. Harvest Blessings at 24 hours is a light medium, 4 out of 10 still. It is a toasty fall scent, has a Thanksgiving or late fall feel, and oak and spice, very woodsy. So to recap, after the 24-hour mark, we have 4 in the race still. So Farm Stand Pumpkin, Pumpkin Chai, Pumpkin Roll, and Pumpkin Cinnamon Swirl all kind of dropped out at that 24-hour mark. We still have 4 horses in the race. We have Harvest Blessings, Autumn Sunset, Cider Mill, and Scary Good. So at 36-hour check-in, Scary Good drops out of the race. It goes from being kind of that butterscotchy scent again to just kind of drops off. And it was quite a gradual drop off. It didn't hit a wall and finish. It was very much like a gradual decline until you could just no longer smell it. So that was somewhere between 24 and 36 hours that happened for Scary Good. And that one, I've had it go longer. Like, I've done this in my open layout with good success before, and it did get 2 days. So this one can do longer depending on where you warm it and how much you use. But yes, very strong and reasonably long lasting. It did fairly well. Cider Mill had been done, but I left it in the warmer. And I can actually kind of smell a light cider spice scent in the room. It's not identifiable, but it's there. It's like a 1 out of 10. So that was interesting. Again, this one kind of rebounded just a little bit, not to a strong level, but to a 1 out of 10. You could smell it when you walked in the room and be like, okay, there's like a light spicy scent in here. And it was this. So this one did rebound. So it did make the 36-hour check-in by a hair. Autumn Sunset is like the bar that will not end. It is 4 out of 10, light medium still doing all right. I'm not sure that I'd be able to pick out what bar it is if I just walked into the room and smelled it, but it is spicy and cozy and very like inviting. So that one is still doing just fine at 36 hours. And Harvest Blessings at 36 hours is a 3 out of 10. It's light, but it's there and no scent change at all. This one has been very consistent through the entire warm. There's been no different notes coming through more or less. It's been very consistent, the same scent. Next check-in is 48 hours, so we're 2 full days in now. And Cider Mill is actually really done at this point. I never really smelled it again after that 36-hour check-in, where I got just like a hint of it. I never smelled it again after that. So it finished right around that time at 36. Autumn Sunset, 2 full days in, is a 2 out of 10. It's light, but it's still there. And it's kind of a clovey, gentle spice. All that it's left is kind of a clovey, spicy scent. Harvest Blessings is done. Done. So this one finally kind of finished off somewhere around that time. And again, this was a gradual decline. It didn't really hit a wall. It just kind of went lower and lower and lower until you could no longer smell it in the space. So that was how that one petered out. Last check-in, we only have one horse left in the race. Autumn Sunset at 72 hours finally is finished. You can no longer detect it in the room. You walk in, you can't smell it anymore. So this one finally finished up around the 3-day mark. So overall, it was kind of like everything started out okay. And then around that 24-hour mark, about half of our bars dropped out. They all kind of hit a wall at that 24-hour mark and half of them were gone. And then they kind of slowly dwindled after that, with of course the last one being Autumn Sunset. So that brings us to the Wax Awards. So if you're looking for a strong pumpkin scent, I would say the strongest two at their peak were Scary Good at 7 or 8 out of 10 and Autumn Sunset at 7 or 8 out of 10. These were both the strongest two scents, and I would say they were both strong for a fairly long time too. So yeah, either one of these. This one's more bakery, this one's more spice. Both of them do have a significant amount of spice to them, and I think that's what makes them strong and fairly long lasting. So there's the strongest. The longest bar, objectively speaking in this test, the one that went the longest was Autumn Sunset by quite a bit. Like, it was significantly longer lasting than most of the others. So Autumn Sunset wins for the longest lasting bar. For throw, any of these bars that threw out of the room at all and kind of wafted out of the room, not many of them did. Harvest Blessings did a little bit, and Autumn Sunset did significantly. You could actually smell this one out as far as like the front entryway. So that was quite a good throw. So Autumn Sunset, if you're looking for a bar that will throw a great distance. If you're looking for an open layout worthy scent, or something you can warm in a space with high ceilings or in a larger space, I think Autumn Sunset would be a good choice. I think that'll fill a space quite nicely. Scary Good, I think, will as well. And depending on the space, this one's an honorable mention, but maybe. If you don't have extremely high ceilings or an enormous space to fill, if you have like a moderate to smaller open layout, Harvest Blessings might do the job as well. This one does do quite nicely in my open layout. It'll depend on your space though, but I think these two, Harvest Blessings, or Autumn Sunset and Scary Good, would be good bets for most open layouts. As for scent appeal and just scent likability, this one's completely subjective, just my personal preferences. The most likable scents to my nose are Cider Mill and Pumpkin Roll. So these ones didn't do fantastic in performance in this trial, and in my experience in general with these scents, they're very average performers. They're about a day, they're about a medium strength, they're very average, but the scent appeal on these is amazing for me, for my nose. So I really like this. I will repurchase these often, and so those are my picks for likability. And yeah, so that is the Pumpkin Wax War. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for your patience while I got this one tested and uploaded and all of that. These large wax wars take a very long time to put together because I find that all I can really warm in bedrooms is the wax war scents then. So I'm finding that I might want to go back to maybe a once or twice a month smaller wax war rather than these like once a month giant ones. So let me know what you'd prefer below. Do you prefer these large, like once a month big wax wars of like one big type of scent? Or do you prefer like the slightly more frequent, like maybe once or twice a month, of the 2 or 3 bar wax wars? I would love to know what your preference would be. Coming into the holiday season especially. So let me know what your preference is as far as like what you prefer to watch. One long big wax war or a couple smaller ones. I would love to know, just for curiosity's sake and seeing what people want to see coming up. So thanks so much for watching, guys. We will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.